熱血製造最強頻道 Passiontimes.hk。
Hello, I'm Ms. Zhou from Passiontimes. Although this consultation of EOC covers a range of topics, I still would like to draw the attention on my biggest concern on the treatment of mainlanders and migrants. What is Hong Kong people? Are we going to only define it by citizenships or resident status, or the origin or the place of birth? I think, can we define it like the New Territory guys or the Hong Kong Island guys? I think the underlying principles of the definition, each definition is still quite confusing. In this sense, the differentiation between mainlanders and Hong Kong people is already precisely the nature of today's consultation, like a hidden agenda in my sense. We are not just afraid of getting punishments by using the term locus, so that we are always using nowadays in the reality, or other derogatory terms for the so-called mainlanders. But I'm more concerned about the twist logic of our city, how we are looking at the races and the resident status and different backgrounds of people. Like the term locus is only a metaphor for the destructive behaviors in this city. Here we are condemning the behavior itself but not the people's background. If they have no destructive behaviors, including but not just jumping the queue, as mentioned, and urinating on street, I believe no one would keep condemning. So in which sense would it be called a fair description or even condemned for something wrong in this city? I think it's a moral right for the local citizens to keep our good living standard. Okay, but I would like to bring out again the problem of tourist interest and inappropriate allocations of local resources. I think the truth is the rising interest of tourists creates too much demand on our city, no matter on the shop spaces or the maternity baths. I agree that it's not EOC's duty to cope with the failed policy planning, allocations of resources of interest control. Yet it's a basic principle for EOC not to neglect the current situations of Hong Kong and the underlying reason, disconnect with the reality and use discrimination ordinance to resolve such problems. It's exceeding its authority and at the same time admitting the malfunction of other government departments. So to make it worse, it might fall into the trap of witch hunting. The activities by the government to sit out and expose perceived enemies by fostering a degree of moral panic. I mean, there are worries outside. We cannot just neglect it, and I hope there will be more deeper thoughts and well-defined details and other studies on these issues with details.
Okay, thank you for your question. Again, I think we all understand the tension because of the relationship between Hong Kong and the mainland, and that's obviously a very difficult issue. There are a couple of things that I think we can be very clear about. I think from what I understand from my colleagues telling me about what some people have been saying, they think that there's a conspiracy where we, the EOC, is being told by either the Hong Kong government or the Chinese government that we should cover this in our discrimination law. That is just not correct. So that I just want to make that very, very clear to everyone. The Hong Kong government has not recommended us to do this at all. We ourselves came up with this as an issue, and as I've mentioned to you, you can see that the United Nations came up with this as an issue. So do not think that it's some conspiracy, okay? We think that it's a legitimate issue in Hong Kong. We don't have a predetermined position. That's why we're having the consultation, listening to all of you about what your views are. We haven't decided what we're going to recommend on any of it, not just that issue, but anything. So please understand that we don't have a predetermined position. Now, in relation to the issue of locusts and what people say in public, The most important thing is that Hong Kong upholds the right to freedom of expression and freedom of assembly in terms of protest. And obviously, I think generally in Hong Kong, those values, those human rights are upheld quite well, particularly in relation to some other parts of the world. The mere fact of calling someone a locust, if that's all you did, I think that's unlikely to be what we would say is vilification in the law. Vilification has to be something quite extreme in terms of inciting hatred to be unlawful. It's not just expressing your views. Now, I'll try and give you an example of where something may be vilification as opposed to just freedom of expression. And this is based on the case law here. There's been one case where there was found to be disability vilification, but also internationally, because incitement to hatred is common in countries around the world. You know, whether it's on grounds of race or religion. Also, some countries prohibit incitement to hatred based on sexual orientation because of the problems that some of those groups faced. But say, for example, in the UK, you had, and this is real, Muslim groups, and this is all associated, obviously, with the Iraq War and Afghanistan. There were some Muslim groups that were making comments in public, protesting, but they were saying that Westerners or something like that, or you know, that they should be killed. Okay. Now, where you start saying people should be killed, that's the sort of thing where, in other jurisdictions, it's been held that that is incitement to hatred, because you're actually encouraging people to kill other people. Okay? So I think most of us in this room and in Hong Kong would think that that is not something that we should think is right. And that's the sort of thing that the vilification law is trying to address. It's not trying to say you can't express your general views about not liking mainlanders or not liking them urinating in the street, or, sorry? Yeah, or either way. So it's not about trying to limit people's freedom of expression. And we've only had, in Hong Kong, one case where there was a finding of disability vilification. There hasn't been one in relation to race yet. But in other jurisdictions, it's not common that you find cases where there is a breach of the law in Australia, UK, other countries, because freedom of expression is very important. So the cases have said that even where you cause, you say something that what some people might find offensive, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have breached the law, because people are entitled to their different views. But where you start threatening violence against people, well, that's a different story, because you're talking about hurting other people, killing them, injuring them. That's not right in any reasonable society. Thanks.
We understand that the relationship between Hong Kong and China is a bit rocky, to say the least, at the moment. But there are political issues, there are social issues. We need to find solution to those. Discrimination law and the review of it won't solve those problems. Those problems need to be solved by better policy, better measures, public measures to resolve many issues. But I think in seeking a solution, we must still hold on to the value of equality and non-discrimination. I think we can do that. And because as we aspire to a democracy, we must also understand that democracy, one of the major pillars of democracy is equality and non-discrimination. So we must hold on to those values even while we try and seek solutions to the political and the social problems. And that is what we're trying to do here with the review.
熱血製造，最強頻道 Passiontimes.hk